Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Supergirl Season 3. So this is going to be my review for Episode 3, otherwise entitled Far From the Tree. But obviously before we get into anything else, there will be spoilers within this review, so if you have not seen the episode, you might want to go watch it before we continue on with the rest of the video. So obviously at the end of the last episode, we saw Jean get a sort of, physical message through his mind from Miss Martian or McGann's to say, hey, we're going to need your help up in Mars. Everything's not going that well up here. So that's essentially the plot line for Jean in this episode. Now, one thing I do need to mention before we jump into anything else is that they have a new intro / narration thing that they have at the beginning of the episode, like, my name is Kara Zor-El, blah blah blah, which includes new intro stuff from Supergirl Season 2 as well, and just like mentioning different things. So I thought that was different, it caught me off guard. At first I was like, am I hearing things right? But yeah, I looked it up and they said that they were introducing a new intro thing in episode 3 to continue on for the rest of Supergirl Season 3. But going into this episode, we knew that Kara or Supergirl would be tagging along with Jean to, just help him out with whatever he had to do up in Mars. Which makes sense because really the Mars aspect of this episode was more the action side, and then we had some stuff going on at Earth, or on Earth might I say, which was a bit more personal, even though there was some more personal stuff up on Mars as well. But I must say, the car that John had was awesome. I wouldn't mind having that myself, just a nice classic blue car. Or should I be saying spaceship, because just like how Martians can, shapeshift, so can their cars. Now, it was good to see Eliza Danvers back, or, Kara and Alex's mother. She was back for the bridal shower, if you want to call it that, for Alex and Maggie. But when Eliza was having dinner with Alex and Maggie, it was sort of sad hearing Maggie's recollection of her father's last words to her. Obviously, last season we had heard the backstory of Maggie, how her parents disowned her, and then she went to live with her aunts and she hadn't seen her parents since that day. But we hadn't heard about this final moment and the last words that her father had to her. So that was a pretty sad moment. There were a couple of sad moments in this episode. But when we arrived on Mars, there was some little cool things they chucked in, like having the Mars rover there, or one of the Mars rovers there, which I thought was pretty nice. But this is where Miss Martian or McGann Moores actually reveals to Jean that, hey, you're not the only green Martian left. There was one camp that was left running, and the one Martian that's left now is actually your father. So the white Martians, like the bad ones, because we have that resistance or that resistant force of the white Martians, which McGann is a part of, that we saw at the end of Supergirl Season 2 that helped, take out the Daxamites. That's one group that that Jean and Kara interacted with in this episode. And then there's the other more evil white Martians who are actually using Jean's father to find the staff of Kolor or Kolar or something like that, I can't remember how it was pronounced, which was used by a Martian god. So they sort of needed Jean's help to get through to his father, but that's really where one of the big dilemmas of this episode arises, where his father doesn't believe that he is actually Jean, because, Jean's telling him, oh, I fled from Earth, but Jean's father's like, no, my son would have never done that, he would have stuck up and tried to fight for his homeworld. So yeah, that's the big dilemma for the episode, Jean just trying to convince his father, hey, I'm actually your son. But speaking of daddy issues in this episode, Maggie's father reunites with her and has been keeping tabs on her, surprisingly enough, using Google to find out all the cases that she's worked on and all the achievements, that she has made in her career, which I thought was pretty interesting for someone that really disowned his daughter. He has a very big interest in what she's doing. Now, I think the most emotional scene in the episode, because as I said, there were a couple of sad moments, or a few sad moments in this episode, but definitely the scene, or the couple of scenes attached with Jean's father going back to his home, very emotional, especially when they had the joint memory, where they had Jean's children and obviously the grandchildren of Jean's father just roaming around. Then that was both of their most treasured memory. I just thought that was a really nice moment, because Jean's story is a really heartbreaking one, because he is, the last, or as he thought, he was the last Green Martian. So he is in this really sad place, but them sharing this moment, which was just a really special moment for the episode, and I really enjoyed it. But then we have that real scene where we have, a reconnection between a father and a son, and then we have the contrasting scene where Maggie, thinks that she's reconnected with her father, but then he's actually just he's just sort of there. He's still not on board with what Maggie's doing and her relationship with Alex, and that conflict, the explanation as to what he gave sort of made sense in regards to his eyes, but it still wasn't right, if you know what I mean. And you know, he was never going to come around, and it was basically just a wasted cause. Like, Maggie was sort of wasting her time with it. Now, definitely the most random part of the episode, it was random but extremely funny, was when Kara, you know, Britney Spears her way into the White Martian gathering in John's car, just blasting, I think it was Hit Me Baby One More Time, or Hit Me Baby might be the song name, I don't know what it is, but the Britney Spears song, so random. When it started playing, I thought something was just playing like through one of my windows or something, because it was sort of faint, and I was like, there's no way it's playing at the moment on Supergirl for sure, because it was in like that Martian place. I was like, they're not going to be playing Britney Spears here. And then she came in the car and I was like, okay, that's random as hell. But yeah, so that was just a really random but extremely funny moment on this episode. But really, this episode lacked a lot of action, because I don't think this episode actually needed action, because it was more of a emotional episode about, like, you know, reconnecting with fathers. Like, that was really the theme of the episode, was, you know, reconnecting with fathers, if you had to say, because you had Maggie reconnecting with her father and then John reconnecting with his. But we did have a small action scene with the Green Martians and the, you know, resistant force of the White Martians versus the evil White Martians. You know, a quick, nice action scene just to get that staff of Kolar or whatever it's called. Like, of course, this scene's going to be CGI heavy, but I thought they did a decent job, and they kept it nice and short so it didn't, you know, stretch out too long. Because I think there was a battle scene between White Martians and Grey Martians. It might have been the one from Season 1 where it was just that one White Martian, and the CGI couldn't handle, like, the length of that fight. So, you know, if you keep these scenes nice and short, I think they work better just because of the amount of CGI in them. Now, I think Maggie's final words to her father were really good. She just couldn't cop it anymore. I think she did the right thing in regards to just letting her father go. And yeah, I think it was the smart thing, because she could have done like the, you know, maybe not the smartest thing to do and keep leading him on and keep trusting her. But I don't think her father was ever going to come around to the idea. So I think she's just better letting it off. But then we continue on with Maggie from last episode, where she still doesn't see kids in her future. And even though Alex sort of is like, yeah, I'm along with that, I can live with that in regards to the relationship with Maggie, you can sort of tell Alex is lying. Now, I'm not too sure how many episodes are going to go by before there is like an ultimatum made between the two. But yeah, you can see that stuff isn't going that well in regards to that decision, because you can tell Alex does want a family while Maggie doesn't. So I'm interested to see how long that lasts, and also like how big of a conflict it is due to that. But to finish off the episode with John bringing his father back to Earth, I thought that was actually a really nice moment, and, you know, it fits. Like, I think it would have been weird if John was like, oh, I've reconnected with my father, and then I'm just going to leave him on Mars. I think it makes sense to bring him back to Earth. In regards to how much he features in this season, I'd be very surprised, because, you know, he's a bit older, so John just might have, you know, brought him to Earth just to live out the rest of his life, and, you know, in comfort, in like a nice environment, because obviously, if you look at Earth, it's a bit more of a nicer environment than Mars at the moment. Like, Mars is sort of in this, like, civil war, essentially. So, yeah, I think it was nice that they brought him back to Earth. Obviously, John's father was played by Carl Lumley, who is one of the most well-known Martian Manhunter, like, in regards to voice acting and stuff like that. So I thought having him in the episode and playing John's father was a nice touch. But I'm not too sure how much he's meant to be popping up, whether he pops up again at all, or if he's just like mentioned, like, oh, my father, blah, 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 and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, because I haven't really heard much about that. I just knew that he was going to be in this episode, but I'm not too sure about the future in regards to him, because he's on Earth. You know, he's not going to be running around fighting with John, so he just might be there. So he might seem like a handful more times this season, but not too much, you would think, because, you know, it'd feel a bit forced if they just kept bringing him in, because he's not going to be fighting and stuff like that, as I said. But overall, this episode was a really solid episode. It wasn't action-packed, as I said. It had that one quick action scene between the Green Martians and the, you know, the good White Martians, if you want to call them that, versus the evil White Martians. But really, it was about, you know, as I said, the theme for the episode, you could say, is reconnecting with fathers, which it basically was. And I had to say, Floriana Lima, I think, is the actress that plays Maggie Sawyer, and then David Harewood, who plays John Jones. They were definitely the MVPs of the episode. They definitely stood out. Their scenes were really good, very good acting, especially David Harewood. I think he was really, really, really good this episode. And I think the episodes where Martian Manhunter does get the spotlight, David Harewood definitely steps up to the plate and delivers every single time he gets that opportunity. So I wasn't too surprised, if I want to say that he delivered on this episode. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support for the video and the channel as a whole. Let me know in the comments section down below, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favourite part of the episode, want to say? And do you have any questions regarding it? And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.